you visualize yourself playing all the notes just completely perfectly and with confidence. Just imagine yourself playing every single note, and that's just extremely helpful. I'm trying to get across this river, whatever the fuck you want, a creek. I'm trying to get across this little creek. Alright, y'all. Alright, now I'm in the woods. This is a little adventure we're going on. And I realized that there's this one thing that a lot of my teachers at Berklee have actually brought up, and also Steve Vai has brought up in a video that I watched that he made, and so many other extremely successful people have talked about. And actually I used this when I auditioned for Berklee back in 2017. And what that thing is called visualization. This can be applied to literally anything in life. A lot of my teachers have also talked about the benefits of visualization because I go to Berklee. So a lot of really smart teachers there. So for example, I'm taking a guitar ensemble class right now, and the teacher's name is Tim Miller. And I've had a lot of really great guitar teachers in Berklee at this point. And Tim Miller, in my opinion, even though they were all great so far, Tim Miller is one of the best. And that's saying a lot. He was one of the teachers who actually recommended visualization. So like one of the things he was saying is that before you even pick up your guitar, before you practice, before you play a show, you visualize yourself playing all the notes just completely perfectly and with confidence. Just imagine yourself playing every single note, and that's just extremely helpful. I'm trying to get across this river, whatever the fuck you want, a creek. I'm trying to get across this little creek. Alright, y'all. Alright, now I'm in the woods. This is a little adventure we're going on. So in 2015, I went to this conference where all these really successful people were giving seminars. And one of the people there, his name was Dr. Joe Dispenza. And that was the first time I ever heard about this guy. And it turns out this guy is a scientist, and he's a huge researcher and proponent of meditation and visualization, and how it can literally affect our biology, not just our minds, but our biology on a cellular level. He's in a movie called What the Bleep Do We Know? It was honestly one of the most enlightening movies I've ever seen personally. I highly recommend watching it, and it goes into, on a scientific level, what we are capable of as people, and using quantum physics as its way of getting that message across. It's extremely fascinating and empowering. So anyway, I read a book by Joe Dispenza. It's called You Are the Placebo. And in that book, he talks about the power of meditation and visualization, and how when we think a thought, it actually creates chemicals in your brain that affect your body, and in turn, it affects your reality. So this is one study that was done by Joe Dispenza that I found extremely fascinating and empowering, and I think you will too, where they had two groups of people, and one of those groups, actually both of those groups, never played a piano before, right? And so basically one of those groups, for about a week or two, they practiced these chords on the piano, right? And for about an hour a day for like a week or two, right? So there was another group of people who they practiced the same chords, but they didn't actually play the piano at all. They just visualized themselves playing these chords, and that was their practice routine. And they did it for the same amount of time, for like an hour or two a day for like a week or two, right? And then at the end of, I gotta get this fucking microphone. Okay. So at the end of the study, they compared the results of both groups. And what they found, they did some brain scans actually, and it showed that the group of people who practiced piano in real life, they It was like 30% more neurons showed up in the part of their brain that was associated with that activity, which is pretty cool in itself, right? Now they showed the second group, and ooh, there's a deer. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a deer. There's a little deer over there. Anyway, so the second group, the one that didn't even touch the piano at all, they did brain scans of them, and it showed that they had the same results as the people who actually played piano in real life. So that should be saying something right there. And basically, oh, there's fucking deer. Look at the deer. I don't know if you can see that, but I hope you can see that, because there's deer. Deer. Damn, they're all running. They're probably running from me. They're probably terrified of me. Sorry, deer. So the brain scan. Oh, there's another deer. There's another deer. Hey, deer. All right, cool. So basically, the moral of that, the brain can't tell the difference between what you experience in reality and what you imagine in your head. And that is extremely powerful and very important to know for many reasons. Look at those fucking deer. Look at the deer. It's fucking cool. I'm going to tell you a story about how I use that in my life. And actually, I practice that every single morning. I practice visualization every morning, and I find it to be extremely helpful and beneficial for a number of reasons. So the very first video on my YouTube channel, if you go and look on it after this video, is actually my audition to Berklee. So I had to learn a song and then perform that song for the video. And the song that I chose was called Limits to Infinity by Scar Symmetry. And it was a very challenging song. It was a super challenging song. So I started learning that song in like early 2017. And I also applied to Berklee around then. And so every single day, or close to every day, I practiced that song on my guitar. And then there was one point pretty soon after that I started hearing about all this research done on the power of visualization. And sorry, I'm not really looking that much at the camera because I don't want to like die, because there's like cliffs and shit. So forgive me for not staring into the camera that much at this point for this video. So I was listening and I was learning about all this research that was being done, like in that book You Are the Placebo, about the benefits of visualizing and meditating. I decided that I really wanted to maximize my chances of getting into Berklee. So what I did was I took all that info and I decided to start meditating. Well, I was meditating every day, but I decided to start incorporating like visualization every single morning along with my meditation. And what I would do in conjunction with practicing the song every day is I would visualize myself playing the song front to back, note for note, with complete confidence, like Steve Vai says. And I did that every single day. And I did that for a long time. And so when I finally submitted the video, that was in November of 2017. So I don't know how long that is. What? February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So that's like 10 months. Holy shit. So I was doing that almost every day for like 10 months. But I want to get into some of the things I noticed as I was doing it. So one thing that I noticed that was really fascinating for me is there were times when I was just starting to learn that song that I'd be visualizing myself playing the song, and I would accidentally visualize myself playing the wrong note, but I didn't realize it, or I would realize it, and then I would quickly be like, oh shit, I gotta re-visualize myself doing that. And so I would quickly just like re-visualize myself, but it was almost like the damage had been done. And so one of the takeaways might be, make sure that you know the song note for note before you start visualizing it, because I'm going to tell you what happened. So what happened was I would visualize myself accidentally playing the wrong note because I didn't know any better, because I didn't take the appropriate amount of time to learn it note for note with complete confidence, right? I noticed that the next time that I would actually play the song in person, for real, I would make the mistake that I accidentally visualized myself doing in my morning meditation. So that right there is kind of telling, I think. So my brain interpreted it as it actually happening. So my brain was like, all right, so this is what you play. And so the next time I played exactly what I visualized in my head. So when I realized that, I was like, oh, this is kind of dangerous actually. Like I have to be really careful, because now I'm starting to understand like the implications of actually visualizing and how powerful it really can be and how much of an effect it can really have on my life. So I was thinking, like, if my brain can interpret that as reality and then in real life I actually play the wrong note, like in the visualization, then what if I made a point to visualize the correct notes? Then what would happen? So as you probably guessed, I made a point to really learn every single note very well. And I realized that when I would visualize myself doing it again and actually playing it correctly, next time I played it correctly. So I was literally affecting my reality based on my visualization every morning. So I'm not saying that, visualization was the absolute reason why I got accepted into Berklee, but I am saying that I believe that it definitely helped to basically contribute to my success. And if you can do something in conjunction with the actual practice, then you should do it. And I wanted to get into Berklee badly enough that I was like, I'm gonna actually maximize my chances by taking it to another level and not only practicing every day, but visualizing myself doing it every day, because I want those extra neurons, you know what I mean? So like, if I could get whatever % more neurons in my brain by practicing, that's great, but that's almost like the bare minimum as far as I was concerned. So by practicing every day, you create the neurons necessary to learning that skill. But then when you visualize every day in conjunction with that, the way that it seems to me is you basically double the amount of neurons. So it's like accelerated learning. So Joe Dispenza says that the key is actually to feel the feeling as you're visualizing it, and to feel actually grateful in the visualization. So you're imagining doing this thing and you're feeling grateful. It's like, wow, this is so cool that this is happening. Like, you're actually feeling as if it was actually happening. So the imagery in conjunction with the emotion, that's actually what does it. That's really what's going to change things in your brain more than anything else. It's literally for anyone. You could use this. Anyone could use this. Even if you literally just want to feel better. Like, it doesn't have to be for the purpose of a goal necessarily, although if you do it regularly, it is going to help in some way. So the other day, I was at a dog park, and I was sitting there, and there was all these little doggies running around. And there's this one little dog. He was a corgi, and I love corgis for some reason. I think they're so cute and funny looking. So this little corgi, he sees me, and he looks at me, and I'm looking at him, and we just like lock eyes, and he's all happy, and I'm all happy, and then he starts like waddling over to me, and it was like the cutest thing ever. And he just sat down right next to me. And usually when dogs come up to me in the dog park, they'll come up for like a second, and then they'll run off and play with all the other dogs again, because they just want to play with the other dogs. But this little guy, he came up to me, and he sat down next to me, and he just stayed there, and I just pet him, and it was so freaking cute. And I was like, I freaking love this little guy. He was so chill and happy and calm. I was just sitting there like petting him, and I was like, I love this guy. I just loved him completely. Like, never met the dog before, but I was just like, I love this guy, right? Okay, now think back on your reaction as I was telling that story. Did you feel anything? Did you feel happy? Did you feel a sense of love or something, some kind of positive emotion? So isn't it interesting how you felt that positive emotion, and yet that experience never actually happened to you. It happened to me. So then why did you experience those happy feelings, those positive feelings, assuming you experienced some kind of feeling from that? It's because the image in your mind, as I was talking about that, affected your biology in such a way that it triggered an emotional reaction. So it actually created the chemicals that made you feel a certain way, which tells you that the thoughts in our heads affect our bodies quite literally and physically. So that's just kind of like a common sense kind of way of looking at it. It's like, well, yeah, when you think something, your body gets affected. So then when you run through those exercises or the song that you really want to learn or anything else that you want to do in your life, and you run through it in your head and you're focusing on it and you're feeling the feelings associated with it, you're feeling the positive feelings of gratitude, and you're really just like in that state, you're like, this is awesome. Your brain is essentially going to interpret all of those finger exercises, all the movements that you make when you're playing the song in your imagination as actually happening. And so then when you play the song, your brain is going to remember what to do because it felt like it already did it essentially. Like, I definitely realized that, like, when I visualize in the morning, sometimes I kind of half-ass it, and I'm like, I'll visualize some stuff, but I'm not like totally feeling it that much, And then those days when I'm really into it and I'm feeling like really good about whatever I'm visualizing, I swear it's like for the rest of the day, my day has been changed. It's like those days are just better days. I swear to God, it makes that much of a difference. So at the very least, even if you don't want to use it to get better at something necessarily, you could always just use it to feel good. We can get like really deep into this. You can get into all the metaphysical stuff, like your thoughts affect your reality, and what is reality. If your brain interprets reality as the thoughts in your head as well as your external environment, then maybe the thoughts in your head is reality. It's like, what is reality? You can get really deep into it. I hope that helped in some way, especially during this time with the whole coronavirus outbreak thing going on, and people are very afraid of, and they're scared and probably feeling alone because we're inside and we're isolating ourselves because we don't want to get the infection or infect others. So during this whole coronavirus thing, as we're all kind of sequestered in our homes, one thing we can still do, even though it seems like things are going really out of control and going crazy, and it seems like it's like going to be the apocalypse or something, one thing we can always control is our own mind and what we choose to do with it. And we can choose our actions, we can choose our behaviors, and we can choose the way that we feel. So even if things seem like really crazy right now in the world or whatever, and you're freaking out, and there's some more deer over there, I hope you can see that because it's pretty cool. One way to help that is to basically visualize every morning or just tonight. Pick a time and just take that time to just sit down and just visualize something really good happening. You can visualize whatever you want and then feel the positive emotions associated with that, because at the end of the day, it's always up to us to decide what we want to feel and what we want our destinies to look like. And as Joe Dispenza says, when we visualize in that kind of way, we're literally creating a map to the future in our brains. So we're preparing our brains to experience that future event that we want to happen, whether that be learning a song on a guitar, or learning the piano, or overcoming a health condition, or generally just feeling better. That is something that is in our control at any given moment. We just need to take the time in our schedule to put in the practice of something like visualization, and then we'll create that map in our brain, and then we'll start to feel better. And the cool thing is, we don't actually need to wait for something out there to happen, as far as like, the whole coronavirus thing just coming to an end. I mean, it's going to be great when it does, but until then, we still have control of what we feel, and we can always do something like visualizing in order to feel more optimistic and positive, since reality, arguably, is actually both outside and inside. So I would say that it really takes place first and foremost in our minds and in our emotions, and we don't have to wait for something out there to make us feel good in here. So I hope that helped, and if it did help and if you liked it, then definitely subscribe to my channel, because I post stuff every single week, and I've been posting more stuff kind of like this, where I'm talking about a topic that's slightly different than just guitar playing, but something that I think is really important, and I really want to get this message out there. And also because my friend asked if I could do something like this, and I wanted to do that for him. Alright, so have a good night, because it's obviously night here in this graveyard. For some reason I'm always in a graveyard now. If you are interested in all those, like the book that I was talking about and stuff, I'll put the link in the description below so you can check that out. But yeah, anyway, I hope that helped, and I will see you next video. See ya.